What's up guys, Ben here bringing you another video today. I'm recording this on Saturday, August 20th in the morning. And I want to put this video together because Rostermania is a little bit slow. In about 2-3 days, we have the signing deadline coming up in which contracts can be announced. But right now, we haven't really heard any full rumored teams outside of Optic confirmed yet. So I wanted to make a video explaining what I think is going on, some of the decisions that I think need to be made to sort of unlock some of these pieces, kind of free up some of the dominoes to fall so we can actually start getting some news. So let's discuss and dive in. For the purposes of this video, we're going to have my player contract status tracker up. You can find a link to this sheet in the description of this video, so if you want to follow along while you're watching or just reference it as Rostermania is going on. We'll be live updating the stock, and as you see any issues or comments, or if you think things are wrong, always feel free to message me. There's directions on the doc itself on how to do that. So let's talk about, I think there are 4 kind of key decisions that are sort of holding everything up right now, so let's talk about them. So let's talk about the first one, Atlanta FaZe, and essentially kind of the deal right now is it seems pretty clear right now that they are going to move on from Alec. He's removed ATL FaZe from his bio, and he was also asked by a fan, and he said it wasn't his choice to leave. So it seems like Alec's time at FaZe has come to an end, and they are looking for either another AR player or a sub player, and then one of the existing players would move to a flex. And kind of the crazy thing about this one and why I think it's taken a minute is FaZe can literally pick up anyone they want. And what I mean by that is you see all these free agents listed here, both subs and ARs, and obviously some select challengers players. But because FaZe is so good, I think it's such a destination that anyone who's even under contract is also part of this conversation, right? FaZe definitely have shown over the years in other esports that they're willing to spend. And I know Atlanta FaZe and FaZe Clan are sort of different entities, but they have a sort of similar approach. Any one of these players you see listed here on either both sides of the sheet, outside of, I assume, everybody on Optic, because I think at this point that situation is done. It's pretty much free grabs to be on this team. So I guess we got to kind of wait and see who they want to go for. Again, 2 kind of schools of options. Option 1 is they pick up an AR player. MC either runs main or runs flex based on who they go for, or they pick up a sub player, and then one of these existing players, either a BZ or Sim, probably moves to more flexible, or they do kind of like a flex by committee situation, depending on the map and the mode, etc. So let's see how this one develops. I think that this one's going to come down pretty late, but there are other dominoes that I think may affect other sides of Rostermania. And let's get to that. So I think the Dylan attach situation is also kind of holding everything up. Unclear at this moment where Dylan is looking to play. We've discussed that Minnesota is a good home for him. New York is a good home for him. Potentially LAG. I mean, I could even see Seattle, depending on if this roster shuffles, because they've been super quiet over in Seattle. I'm sure Toronto would want to sign him, but I don't really know if Dylan wants to go there. And same with London. I don't think those are places where are at the top of his list. But it's been clear. We haven't heard much on Dylan's decision. I mean, he was linked to the whole Optic thing, but now that this now is pretty much a locked team, that option has gone away, and I think is severely limited some of the potential options. If I had to take an educated guess at the moment, my educated guess would say that I think Dylan probably stays on Minnesota, builds a team, maybe with Fame, maybe with some other players, but we'll have to see again over the weekend how this one unfolds. And let's talk about domino number 3, and that's the New York situation, specifically with Hydra. Just like with Dylan attached, he was linked to Optic. It looked like for at least 24 hours that that's where he was going, and then that was that. They ended up sticking with their existing team, and now he's got some interesting decisions to make. I don't see him going to FaZe. I don't think that that's sort of a natural fit in what FaZe is looking for if they're going to replace Alec. So that leaves Minnesota, Boston, New York. I think we can kind of remove Florida and Vegas. LAG. I could see Seattle, only because Hydra's agent does rep other players on Seattle. London, probably not. Toronto, maybe, because I could see a world where they definitely want more backup to Kleenex. I don't think in the Toronto situation that this is they really want to run the roster of Kleenex inside Hixie and Scrappy. I think they want to make a few more moves. Once again, just like with Dylan, I feel like maybe Hydra's best option is to run it back with New York. Paul X is on the bench, but I think he's off somewhere else. So it's pretty much Hydra and Kiz looking for 2 guys. Has obviously been heavily linked to this team, so let's assume he's on there. They're then looking for 1 player. They're looking for a sub, and that, my friends, gets to domino number 4, which is where is Afro going? So he could go to New York. Him, Kiz, guys, and Hydra's not a bad team. Interesting squad. A lot of interesting upside with that team. A lot of money that New York would have to spend, but I could see it. Afro has pretty much been linked, from my understanding, to every CDL team. He's taking meetings with everyone. Definitely going to get a decent return in this Rostermania. But as with all of this, and the complexity you're seeing is the list of options for these players is pretty big. Afro could go to Minnesota. He could go to Boston. Could he go to FaZe? I guess it's possible. New York. I mean, I can sit here and list all the teams, but that's the issue here, is that he hasn't made a decision yet on where he wants to go, and then everything kind of cascades from there, because teams will then go and make sort of through their backup list and lock in their roster. The 5th domino of, I think, the main 5 that are sort of holding everything back right now is Cammy. It is the most interesting of them because Cammy is under contract, extended through game launch. So theoretically, he could wait it out and then be a free agent, but I don't think he'll do that. He'll want to get on a team before the game starts. Cam's been linked to a number of teams. FaZe would be a great fit for him. Minnesota, obviously, he could slot right in the spot for Boston next to Zin. I don't think New York seems like an option because if Skies is going there, if they pick up a sub player and Kiz moves to more of an AR role, that kind of leaves Cammy out, but you never know. I don't think he's going to Florida. I don't think he's going to Vegas. LAG possible, but again, they've got all these players on roster that they need to move. Probably not Seattle because it is not really kind of a role for him there. And obviously, there's always a world where he could stay on Toronto. And I think for me that those are right now sort of the 5 key decisions that are sort of holding everything back. And that's not to disrespect any other free agents or players that are moving in this window because I think there are some important pits, but they aren't kind of the first dominoes to fall here. I'm talking about your like Awakening and Skies duo, very good players, but I don't think that they're holding up some of these team comps. Same with Clayster. I don't think Clay's holding up any of these team comps. I think they're waiting just like everybody else. We didn't really talk about Standy in this video, but if Afro makes his decision, I think Standy's sort of the next one on this list that's going to have his choice of teams. I sort of said in previous videos that I thought Standy's time in Minnesota is over. Based on now with Illy and Dashy staying and Shotzi staying too, I kind of see there a potential world where they run it back with Standy now. So we'll see if that's part of a team that gets formed or he may be going elsewhere, but he's sort of another domino that's going to fall next. And I guess just to kind of keep sort of some other kind of potential thoughts going in this video, Ben Vance, kind of curious where he goes. He's been linked to a number of teams. On the PAM side, a couple of interesting things I think to talk about. Mohawk's been approached by a couple of teams and even turned down one team offer from my understanding. So I think Money Mo's chances of getting on a squad are actually pretty good in this Rostermania period. 2 other players I think that definitely have a very good shot starting on a CDL team. Wardy's been getting a lot of interest from teams as a potential backup option. Again, if someone like Afro doesn't go there, people go down the list. He's been approached by a number of squads. So expect some news on him once the first couple of dominoes fall because I think that he's going to get on a roster. Beans is another player who's getting a lot of potential looks. From my understanding, he's been offered by a number of teams, at least 4 or 5, including obviously, as you suspect, London and Toronto. Again, he's got to wait for the first set of dominoes to fall, but he may find himself on a team, I think, before the end of Rostermania. And the last one is Vickle. The thing is, guys, is there aren't a lot of SMGs in the league that I think teams sort of are willing to take more risks on sub players just because there aren't a lot of established subs that are like very good above replacement players, if I'm going to use sort of a baseball term. So Vickle obviously was sort of not the featured player on Toronto Ultra NA, but definitely brings some interesting quantities as a player. Has it approached by a few squads. So we'll see if he can get on a team. I would say it's probably 50-50 at best, but I like Vickle and would like to see him in the league. So we'll see what happens to probably the biggest Real Madrid fan of all the CDL players. And that's it, guys. Let me know what you think in this video right now. We're just sort of waiting. It's possible by the time this video comes out that some of these people have made decisions and maybe we know about it and we'll talk about that in future videos. But let me know some of the team comps that you'd like to see. As always, if you like the video, smash that like button. Anyone else staples buttons, if you know what I'm talking about. If you like my content, please subscribe. We're obviously going to keep pumping out Rostermania content, off-season content. We're going to be doing some great stuff once the season starts, so be on the lookout for all of that. And as always, guys, I will see you on the next one.